Hey everybody, it's your girl PJamma with PJammaLyfe, and we have a special guest today. Everybody say hi to Peter from the
Hi, how you
Super Power
going?
Dare Die team. Say hello to the people, Peter.
Hello, everyone. Thanks for watching. You might have seen Pam on our show as well recently. We did an Equilibrium review with Pam, and we did a trailer, which went quite well too. So that was good to have you on, and thanks for having me on again.
Oh, we're very pleased to have you all the way from Australia, land of the koalas. One of my favorite countries in the world. All right, and we have my other two guys here. Hey, everybody say hey to the professor of all things Star Wars. Say hey to the people, David.
Hey, everybody. Friends, the time has come. Let's raise the roof and have some fun. It's Star Wars Celebration this weekend in Anaheim, California. Lots to dish about here tonight on PJammaLyfe.
And we have the guru of all things Marvel and Tolkien. Say hey to the people.
Oh, you're getting. Oh, there you go. It took you a minute, but there you are. Hey, everybody. Yes, there is some great Star Wars stuff. While I'm not an expert like David, I am a big fan. So this is great stuff.
Big fan. And we have the classic music of Europe and the new AppleTV Plus movie of Tetris. Let's take a peek.
The first computer game to leave the Iron Curtain. We'll start by licensing computer games, then video games, arcade games.
Partners are what make us great. That's why Mario has Luigi. That's why Zelda has Link. That's why Mike Tyson has whoever he's punching out in Punch Out. If you want to sell millions of Game Boys to absolutely everyone, young and old, around the world, package it with Tetris.
How many games do you expect to sell?
My estimate is 20 million. That means you get $5 million.
Oh, come on. You guys are the kings of cliffhangers.
No, it's no time for American emotion. Go.
Well, why don't we have our guest talk about his thoughts about Tetris?
Oh, okay. I sort of had a bit of a change in reaction to this movie. I started off, I was a bit unsure. I thought it was the performances were a bit overplayed a little bit, or something like over stylistic or something to start with. But then I just sort of got used to that, and then I started to enjoy like all of the wheelings and dealings, and I enjoyed him going over to Russia and all the little manipulation going on with like the Russia people, him going room to room. I thought all that stuff was quite interesting. And then I thought it just went into a bit of fan fiction territory with all the KGB and all the car chase at the end. And I thought that didn't happen. I just stepped away a bit. I thought it's like, but it was a bit like playing Tetris when you're 3/4 full and you know you're not going to win. So you just keep pressing the button down. I just gave up on the movie after the car chase because I just thought, I said, this didn't happen. So I just sort of felt like they didn't trust that their story was compelling enough. So they had to add a big car chase and all this other sort of intrigue sort of thing. So I don't know. I guess they weren't going for a super real story, but I think some people just like a well-told story, just simply. And I think I would have enjoyed the original story more than what they did to it, if you know what I mean. But it was okay. I enjoyed a part of it, and then it just sort of lost me because I thought, the punch ups with the company head and that sort of thing. I just thought, this isn't real. This didn't happen.
Oh, boo! I really liked
Yeah.
I thought it was super fun. I like that. I kind of like the stylistic nature of it, of the 80s. We're all kids of the 80s. And so I was like, oh, yeah. And I had someone tell me kind of a story about their time in Russia in the 80s going over there. Yeah, it was just as wild over there. That's crazy. And when he said he got robbed of his jeans, so 80s and Iron Curtain stuff. And the but I really it was kind of hard to understand. You really had to follow closely about who owned the rights to what. And so that was a little more, I think, complicated.
Yeah. I sort of liked that stuff. I liked trying to work out where things were going.
I thought it was a lot of fun. It's also a film by Matthew Vaughn, who did Kingsman and The Kingsman series. And so I was like, oh, that's why you're getting some of this kind of comic book action stuff. But I really enjoyed it. I thought it was fun. I thought the people were funny, and the situations, I think, are just bizarre enough to probably there's a lot of truth in it. And but I thought it was a lighthearted, good little Easter flick. David, what do you think?
No, well, one, I enjoyed it, and I love kind of going to this era.
Yeah,
this early 1990s kind of thing. You know, I kind of live there. At least my technology skills still do. The creator of the film said that it was 100% true emotionally, which I think is a fascinating description. 100% degree emotionally. I will say I didn't initially make the connection with Tehran and some of those being from the Kingsmen, but yeah, that makes sense now. Russia, as the Soviet Union was collapsing, it was the Wild West, truly the Wild West. So there's a lot. I've talked to a lot of people who are from state who were over there at that time. It's amazing the stories about that. And those things, there were some crazy things. Stuff in the movie didn't happen. There are crazier things that actually was happening in Moscow at night. But a neat film. The stuff on the intellectual properties, maybe this is showing some of my age and interest like you all. I really was interested in that part of it. But it was a neat movie and one that I certainly enjoyed. Do recommend for people to see it, but keep your eyes open and your minds open too, because there is a little bit of there was some fictional excitement that was clearly added to this one, to say the least.
Well, before you go, Pat, let me give one more hint somebody told me about. Robert Maxwell is Ghislaine Maxwell's father.
Oh.
And so I was like, oh my God, he's even worse. I mean, he was just
slimy.
Just a slimy pig of a man. And he raised an evil daughter. He was evil. His daughter was evil. His son was probably just a weirdo. But I didn't know he died mysteriously. I was like, oh, somebody murked him.
There's a lot of that going around with that crowd, man.
Huh?
There's a lot of that going around with that crowd.
Yeah, well, especially back then too. You know, people
just a little while ago in a U.S. prison.
Suicide.
Yeah. Okay, Pat, go ahead and talk about Tetris.
Well, you know, it was interesting, and it was off-putting for me to see Taron Egerton speaking with American accent. It really threw me for a loop.
American though?
Yeah, I think it's what he was going for. Because you know, he was an American guy who married a Japanese woman, but yeah, it was definitely weird because you know he's doing in the Kingsman movies and stuff. He's always got that really heavy Cockney accent, So he's trying to do, he's stepping out a little bit. I mean, the movie itself was not that gripping for me. I thought it was interesting. I mean, it just didn't. I mean, it was interesting to see the origins of Tetris. I love that video game, and without it, you don't have Bejeweled and all these other crazy games you see now. The puzzle games. That was the puzzle game to start out. And if you didn't play Tetris, you weren't alive then. I'm going to tell you. Everybody has played Tetris. I played Tetris on my Game Boy so much, and it was amazing. And it's still a great game. But it was interesting to see how that came about.
Yeah.
And it wasn't to me. It didn't feel like it was a movie about so much about the game, but it was about the collapse of the Soviet Union. I kept half expecting to see a cameo of a young Vladimir Putin in one of these, which would have been probably kind of accurate, but it wasn't bad. I'm not saying it was bad. It just wasn't. It wasn't spectacular.
This side, correct. That side. So a little bit of a mixed review, but ladies' choice, go watch Tetris.
Your show, you can say whatever you want, Pam. Go ahead.
Sure can. All right. Next up is what is next up? Ted Lasso. It's back. 3rd season, final season. And Richmond and West Ham back at it. So let's take a peek.
How are things at work? Are you feeling good about the upcoming season?
How are you feeling about the unanimous opinion that Richmond will be relegated again at the end of the season?
Regarding your old team, AFC Richmond, any idea why everyone is expecting them to finish 20th this season?
I really want to win this one.
I know. I mean, look, I know it's nuts we came here in the first place, but at this point, I can't tell if it's more crazy or less crazy that we're still here.
That is the Ted Lasso I want coaching my team this season. The one who's willing to fight.
You watch. From now on, I'll be floating like a butterfly and stinging like a bee.
Zava is leaving Juventus.
Whoa!
If you got Zava, that would be amazing.
Okay, is this about us getting Zava?
I just wished for that 30 seconds ago.
You won't talk about it?
Sure, he's nuts, but he'll help us win games.
I would rather talk about Zava than myself any day.
Remember, have fun! Woohoo! Yes! This is so exciting!
By the way, Rebecca's looking beautiful this season. Just amazing. Pat, tell us what you think of Ted Lasso.
Oh my God, it's like the best show in the world. I mean, I really love Ted Lasso. All the seasons. This is the first time we've ever really talked about it. And it is a Kansas City treasure. I would like to also mention how great that is, because on this little background, you see Arthur Bryant, which is a big local Kansas City barbecue. It's not my favorite either. I mean, we all got very...
It's the worst.
Kansas City barbecue is a very personal and intimate relationship, almost as akin to a religion. I am personally Q39, which is fucking amazing. I'm not going to lie. I don't know that you've been to Q39, Pam. I think it came up after you've been gone. Q39 makes Gates look like roadkill.
Well, BB's Lawnside Grill is also awesome.
BB's is pretty good too. I mean, there's so many barbecue joints in Kansas City, and I mean, some of them are like really just holes in the wall where the food is ridiculous.
Yeah.
But they had the picture, and I didn't mean to go on a real big side quest there, but I did about barbecue, because barbecue is, like I said, akin to a religion.
Life.
But it is always so uplifting, even in its down and dark moments. Yeah. I remember watching this whole show through the pandemic, and this was like one of those things that just made you feel better about a lot of stuff.
Yeah.
And even when everybody was having a tough time, and you see stuff, you always felt like everybody was trying to do the right thing. And then of course, if anybody hasn't watched this and is watching this show now, there's gonna be some spoilers here. Nate being such a big... Oh, stop it. You watched this.
No, I haven't seen it. But that's you go. That's all right.
It's an amazing show, and I mean, there's all kinds of stuff going on there. And Casey's got a bit of a soccer thing going now. I mean, they're really it's becoming a thing here. It's to me a lot better than baseball, because baseball is like watching paint dry or grass grow. Yeah. But I'm not a baseball fan, but soccer's fun because stuff's going on. Those guys are in shape. I'm just saying, they run for 90 minutes. They are running for 90 minutes, and that's just ridiculous. So I love everything about Ted Lasso. I love Roy Kent. Roy Kent is my hero. He is my spirit animal, because I get that guy. I get him, and the relentless optimism of Ted Lasso is just such a wonderful, refreshing thing in a world full of negativity. Love it. And the soundtrack, if you want a great, just all over the place soundtrack, there's several playlists on several different services. I got Spotify. There's a Ted Lasso seasons 1 through 3, and every week they update it with the new songs.
That's cool.
It is amazing.
Oh, cool. David, what you think?
I think it's really good. I think Jason Sudeikis, who I never would have thought of outside of that Saturday Night Live role. I mean, he's just a, like a character guy, but he's made this character his own. I think, there's a lot of good things that, as Pat was saying. I do think listening to other people too, and I agree with this, it really kind of highlights the importance of mental health.
Yeah.
In this story, and I've heard that way too often in the sports world with the stress and the pressures and whatnot. And so I think that's something that can't be disregarded. So it is a good show. It's really, I applaud the writing, the fun, yet the real aspects of this, where it'll kind of pull the curtain behind some seriousness. It's a good program. On the more important issue of barbecue, I guess for the purposes of this show, I will be described, well, we have some pretty good barbecue in Kentucky and Owensboro and western part. I would be referred to as an agnostic, because here's why, everybody. I've gone to Beale Street in Memphis, Tennessee, Sun Studio, Elvis, and all the greatest blues music and barbecue. And what did I order? And almost got thrown out. Pam knows where I'm going.
Oh, no.
I ordered, could I have just a ham sandwich?
Oh!
And I got to tell you, I had hosts. My hosts were wanting to just ask me to get up from the table and leave.
What is wrong
Not
with
the best part of Memphis to be walking around at 9 o'clock at night either. Let me tell you.
Oh my God.
Anyway, so I am kind of the agnostic when it comes to the BBQ. So
he was every day at lunch. Ham sandwich, Lay's potato chips, and a cookie.
What kind of cookie?
Was it sugar cookie?
It was a sugar cookie.
Yeah.
You know me. You know me like we are family.
Every day we worked together, and I was like, come on, let's go out for lunch for something else. And no, and he'd bring his lunch.
Saving every penny back then.
Oh my gosh. And hey, we're getting a lot of chatter about Ted Lasso. A lot of people like it. Electric Melanin, I know it's one of their favorite shows.
Oh, wow.
And I love Ted Lasso too. We're all Jayhawks. Jason Sudeikis loves the Jayhawks. And our college team, Peter. And he infuses the show with a lot of University of Kansas references. Their uniforms are University of Kansas colors. Some of the things that happen are tiebacks to the University of Kansas, Kansas City. So it's pretty cool to see some of that happening. I thought this season, though, last season, you got a real peek into Ted, what kind of has driven Ted into this relentless, but also coping mechanism of his positivity, so it's almost at times, and I feel like this season we're seeing some of the toxicity in some of his optimism, because it's him not really dealing with the situations that are around him and not really addressing his emotions. And so I still love it, but it's kind of this season I'm like, okay, he's got to deal with whatever's going on with him, because his relationship with Nate at this point to me is toxic. And so it will be interesting to see how they come around the curve on this. And my buddy Trent Grimm is from the Independent is getting more play this season. So I'm happy about that. And I'm rooting for the couple to get back together. I won't spoil it for Peter when he watches.
That's all right.
You should be watching this, Peter.
I've been recommended this by a lot of people. I just haven't got around to it. I didn't have Apple TV. I just signed up to
bought it for that.
Yeah.
I just signed up the 7-day free to watch the Tetris. So I might be able to check out Ted Lasso. I have been told watch it.
Yeah,
but I didn't know where to start, so I didn't have time to watch it to talk about it today.
Yeah, the last scene of the second season is a blow your hair back moment. You're like, ah!
Oh God, yes.
Ah!
Judas.
So yeah, you definitely want to start at the beginning and watch it all the way through. It'll give you a lot of insights and a lot of talk about mental health in a way I think that men can be receptive to, because it's in the sports milieu. You know, that's the only time sometimes men will have cry is sports stuff, but it really puts a positive spin on mental health treatment and therapy and things that can help men be able to get in touch with their emotions to help them move forward. So it's so layered and so interesting. It turned out to not be exactly what you thought it was going to be.
Yeah, well, it doesn't sound like what I thought it was going to be.
Yeah, but it's the way they do it.
Very funny.
It's extremely funny. Yeah. And but it also is emotional and really tugs at your heartstrings. That's why it's won Emmys every year since it came out. So big fans of Ted Lasso. Okay, now we get to it. The episode that takes us back to the future in some ways. Let's take a look at The Mandalorian.
Welcome to Plaisir 15, the Outer Rim's only remaining direct democracy. Engaging automated guidance.
We have a problem.
Yes?
A droid problem. A coordinated malfunction.
We think.
Why not turn them all off?
If we shut down the droids, our citizens wouldn't know how to survive. Our society would collapse.
I don't think they get many of our kind here.
Yeah.
There are concerns among my customers that we will be replaced. We still have a lot to contribute. Human life is so short. It's the least we can do.
Well, let's let our guest Peter talk about what he thought of this week's Mandalorian.
All right. I'll say that The Mandalorian's my favorite Star Wars since the original trilogy. Like, I've really enjoyed The Mandalorian up until now. And I'm the biggest Christopher Lloyd fan ever. Like, he is my favorite actor. Ever since I walked out of Back to the Future when I was 10 years old, I've just been borderline obsessed, I suppose. I've just watched every single little thing that he's ever been in. So beginning of last year, I saw a news article that he was going to be in The Mandalorian. I was just very excited. So I've been looking forward to this for over a year. So I don't know if it lived up to what I was hoping for. I thought he might be a regular character in the show. I thought that that's what they were leading up to since they announced it. And I heard rumors he was going to be like a crusty old Mandalorian leader. And I heard rumors he was going to be a clone Jedi, Jor-El someone or something. So I've been waiting all season for Lloyd to pop in. And yeah, and I did enjoy him in this, but I thought it was a kind of an odd episode. I thought it was with Jack Black popping up. I was like, what's going on? Like, I was waiting for Lloyd, and I was like, oh, there's Jack Black. And is it Lizzo? I don't know who Lizzo is. I've heard that she's famous, but I'm not familiar with her.
Gosh.
It's awesome.
She's
I don't know. I've never heard of her.
Out right now. Mm-hmm.
So it was just sort of a bit, and I thought Jack Black was a bit Jack Black, and it just seemed a bit out of place, and I felt a bit Alice in Wonderland. I've heard people on internet say it was like a Scooby-Doo episode. Like that Lloyd was the Scooby-Doo villain. So I'm a bit mixed. I loved seeing him, and I hope he comes back, because I did enjoy the whole separatist thing. I thought that's something we haven't explored much in Star Wars apart from Count Dooku. and I like the reference to Count Dooku.
Mm-hmm.
But I don't know. I don't know whether I was just so built up to see Lloyd in Star Wars that it disappointed me or what. But yeah, it was a bit mixed again with this one. Yeah. But when I first
know.
and I
don't know
sort
about
of
having you on, Peter, because I don't know.
Oh my god.
Oh wow.
I sort of like after his scene, like the first scene he was in, like Rick and I talked about this on our show, but he said he guessed that Lloyd was going to be the baddie immediately, and I didn't, because I think I was sitting there thinking, is that it? Is that all he's ever going to be in Star Wars? I was like, really? And like, so it wasn't until those Ugnaughts, I love seeing the Ugnaughts, it wasn't until the Ugnaughts started saying, no, there's nothing wrong with the droids, because I knew the Ugnaughts didn't lie. And I thought, oh, mate, maybe he's going to come back and maybe he's got something to do with it. So I was glad that he came back at the end. But it was just a strange episode to me. I think I'm going to have to go back and watch it again, because I think I was too excited that, you know, when I saw Lloyd and there, because I've been anticipating it for so long.
Yeah.
There.
Well, let's go to our resident Star Wars expert, David, which I can already tell from that face. Let us have it, David.
I got to tell you, can we just fast forward this entire season? I mean, you know, there's only one more episode, right? And I got to tell you,
2, I think. I think there's 2.
That's too many. This season is so disappointing and bad compared to what we've seen.
Yeah, I think it's been disappointing.
You know, it really, and you know, hey, Pablo Pascal was not on set. He did the voiceovers, but he wasn't even on set for a lot of these. Dave Filoni, not really a part of things as much. I love the Logan's Run kind of homage, but if you have too many homages, it kind of loses its oomph.
I
was disappointed. I actually thought Lizzo and Jack Black really played off of one another pretty well in their dialogue. I thought that was good. Lizzo, she can play a really mean fiddle, and I know her because she has a massive crush on one of our former players, Carl Anthony Towns. She loves the Big Cat. So that's how I first heard of her. But she's
I thought you were going to say Chris Evans.
No, the Big Cat, Carl Anthony Towns, she loves him. This is just such a bad, a disappointing season and a really bad episode. A bar for droids. I didn't think about Scooby-Doo, but man, that is so there. Yeah, they have lost the way. This is a great step back.
Okay.
This is disappointing. I mean,
do you think that I sort of feel that they shouldn't have tied up the season 2 cliffhangers in Boba Fett, and I feel like they've sort of because they tied that up so quickly. I think this season could have been more about that and him alone and missing Grogu and trying to sort out the whole Mandalorian stuff and having the stuff with Luke as like a sub story. I think that would have given more meat. I think it's lost its heart a bit. It sort of feels like it's been written without Grogu, because he's not even barely been in it, really.
No, I mean, I love Lizzo's comment. It's like, okay, I signed the deal. Can I play with the toy now?
Yeah,
I want the toy. I mean, that was what it was all about, man.
Come on.
The arc really kind of ended that season 2 arc with Luke, which was amazing. That kind of just closed the chapter in a way. There are other ways to have reopened it. And I'm very disappointed in what they've done with the show. I just am.
I thought last episode was all right, but this
one, it was better. But man, this one, it took us down to a new level.
Pat, what did you think? Because I'm gonna end it on a hot note.
Well, I'm gonna tell you. I mean, I will agree with both their comments that this season has been the weakest.
I swear.
Well, no, it's been the weakest, and I mean, of the 3 seasons. After rewatching them. And I started rewatching them, like I was telling you before the cameras came on, that I started rewatching the season 2, and I mean, God, it was really good. Yeah. I mean, there was a lot of stuff going on, and this season has felt a little rudderless, perhaps, you know. Like, I'm not sure where they're going with it. I will tell you though, in the same breath, that I love the fact they're bringing Bo-Katan and all these other Mandalorians back in, and I'm digging the whole.
Yeah, she's been really good.
Mandalorian culture, and all that stuff. I'm all for that. I love that because I love the sequences. From I loved Rebels because it had all this stuff in here, and it's all coming back. To hopefully tie some things up. Super cool. I'm totally down with that. But this season has felt a little rudderless. I mean, I don't think they had a. It's fine. And there's going to be seasons like this, and I'm not mad. It's not a criticism. It's just that it's not as good. It doesn't feel as a point A to point B. First episode is point A, point B being the last episode. And there's a straight line between them where you're going in a progression to get to that last thing. This one feels like it's kind of like a cat wandering around a room, and it might get to its goal in a few minutes. But it's going to walk around. It's going to look at the window. It's going to go under the table. It's going to jump up on the table. And it's just kind of all over the place.
It's going to leave a hairball over your bed.
Okay. You know what? All three of you have failed this week. It was fun. It was light. It was a nice amuse-bouche because I'm sure the next 2 episodes are going to be very so they're going to be heavy, I get a feeling. And what I thought was this was it was a good callback. If you remember, the Ugnaughts were in the very first season. So to have that show up again in this, I was like, oh, that's a nice tie-in. Something's up with that. So I appreciated that, going back to the battle droids and the Ugnaughts. I really like the little side story of the droids, and one of I wish we could have shown it was, if you remember them walking into the club, there were a couple of droids, and one of the droids was hitting on the other droid. I was like, that's amazing. And then when they get in, and the speech by the droid about, humans don't live that long. It's not a lot for us to help them. Why not? And then, all of them cheer. I just thought that was just adorable. I just really like that. And Christopher Lloyd coming in, I thought that was really interesting. But the one thing I thought of was, I was like, oh my God, Christopher Lloyd is old now. Like old. I mean,
he's 84.
He's always looked old, right? From Taxi until the Back to the Future. The man's always looked old. But now I'm like, oh, he's legit old. But if you really want to see him in an action movie, go watch Nobody.
Oh, absolutely.
That was awesome.
Yeah, that was fantastic.
And Bob Odenkirk. That was a fantastic little movie.
Yeah, that was great.
Yeah, it was fun. But you know what? I enjoyed this episode just for what it was kind of a slice out. The one thing I did have a problem with was at the end, I didn't think they'd wrap up Bo-Katan's story so quick like that. And I was like, oh, and just as a side little thing, I wish when she held the Darksaber, she held it up instead of down. I don't know. That would seem more like a victorious moment.
I have done that.
Don't look like that.
Sorry, Rick and I always talk over each other. Sorry.
No, that's okay.
I was just going to say they've done that a lot this season, because I thought this whole season was going to be about him going to the mines of Mandalore and cleansing himself in the water, and something about the mythosaur, and that all happened in the first episode. I was like, what? It's just quick. And yeah, same with, and I didn't click when he was defeated by that little alien and she took the sword and defeated him. I didn't click that could mean that she's the rightful owner of it anymore. But there,
yeah.
So I think that they've and they did with Boba Fett. They settled those cliffhangers just like that really quickly too.
Yeah. So I was kind of like, oh, I wonder, because it's still something about the covert. It's still got a kind of very cult kind of thing going on. So I wonder if that's going to be a part of the season. going forward. But I know you all disagree, but I think there's a lot of people out there like me who enjoyed this little episode. And shame on them for calling it Scooby-Doo. So, it was fun. It was interesting. It was light. If you took it out, except for the last scene, it could be a standalone kind of.
It was sort of
episode.
like a filler.
And it's a pretty bad meta message in there too. Just let all the machines do all the work, and everybody just does nothing. If this was Star Trek,
that was a Star Trek episode, right?
It was. And Jim Kirk would have violated the Prime Directive, and he would have said, "Y'all get back to work and be productive living beings."
It's like Wall-E.
There was a Wall-E theme there.
I'm not too sure though that Lizzo and her husband don't have something nefarious going on. I felt like there were some little looks, and when they caught Christopher Lloyd's character, I thought that there was some kind of wink kind of thing going on with him and that guy. So I'm not too sure that the Empire is not there, still hiding in the what is he, the King, the Jack Black character, and what's going on. So I think there's this kind of narrow kind of band in the message about how the Empire is infiltrating these worlds still, because they were allowed to still come back and get integrated into the society. They should have just put them all in jail.
Yeah, I think it's like saying the rebellion didn't do a good job after the defeat of the Empire.
Right.
Yes.
Right. And that's how you got the First Order, or
the First Order rise.
Yeah, that's how they were able to rise. So
all of it is doing is saying that the movies you loved and paid for everything, they're terrible. Then let's focus on us, because it's so Disney. It's so disappointing.
Oh, poo. Okay, so
Disney pointing.
A mixed review. But I'm always right.
What a bet.
Yeah, I knew one of them was coming out. David also, Peter, does like characters. He recreates the characters. Awesome. And he has a whole slew of things he's created, which is pretty cool. So he tells us about collectibles and things that are going on as well.
Oh, I'd love a Commissioner Hellgate figure for my Lloyd collection.
Yeah. I'm sure there's probably an action figure coming.
There might already be one in that for that.
Oh,
I'd have to look and see.
Yeah. But it's also something for all of us young Black women and little girls who saw Star Wars to now see one of the biggest Black singers on the planet being able to be a part of the Star Wars universe. That's not a little thing for people who look like me. So it's great to see. And check out the Mandalorian, and you'll see for yourself. All right, that takes us to the end of our show, unfortunately. And thanks to Peter, yay!
You're welcome.
Joining
us
all the way from Australia. Which, if you notice, Peter, the Mandalorian has a strong South Pacific thread running through it as well. A lot of the characters, not a lot, but there are many characters from the South Pacific in there. So that's pretty cool.
They've got Boba Fett's Tamura Morrison now, isn't it? So,
yeah. And so that's kind of cool to see too. We don't see very many people from that part of the world in our series or shows, so it's good to see.
And Mel Gibson doesn't count.
Peter, you got any? What'd you say, Patrick?
I said Mel Gibson don't count.
I think he was born in America.
Everybody's trying to forget about him.
Himself for some Americans.
We don't claim him anymore.
Yeah.
After Road Warrior, man, he's just all downhill.
We claim Russell Crowe, even though he was born in New Zealand, but
Russell Crowe, he's the guy. He's Maximus Decimus Meridius. So there you go.
Yeah, but Mel Gibson's on the outs now.
Yeah. Too bad.
Ooh, after that taped phone call, bad luck.
It was awesome because you know what was awesome about that call? her audio was perfection. So you know it was a setup. All the time. Besides him being a horrible person, I just thought, man, how did you not know when her voice sounded like it was straight off of a movie set? Something wasn't up. But yeah, forget that guy. Since it's the night before Easter, I will restrain on the cursing. But and so if you celebrate Easter, it's our the holiest day in the Christian calendar. So enjoy Resurrection Sunday. And fellas, you got anything to say goodnight to the people?
Well, I wish quickly to say happy Easter to everyone and be safe and enjoy. And when you're not watching something fun, take a moment and go read this exciting thing that came out of New York this week. I've got it. I've got the statement of facts and the indictment itself. Be sure and read Donald Trump, the defendant. This is some good stuff right here. It's page turning. Get your highlighters and your Post-its so you know what's going on.
Yeah, I wanted to see that mug shot, baby.
I want to see how he can keep his hair like that in prison.
Oh, it wouldn't be. It would be terrible. Pat, what did you?
I'm just super disappointed in the American media companies and corporations that they didn't get to give me a perp walk view of that, because I was super disappointed in that. I didn't see that delightful individual. See, did you see me just clamp down on that there? That delightful individual walking through with handcuffs on and getting put into a holding cell with a bunch of other criminals. That would have been. But anyway, so everybody have a great Easter, have a great Passover. Ramadan's going on. All y'all have whatever religious holiday you're into. If you're not into religious holidays, go out there and hang out under a tree for a few minutes. I don't care. Have a good day, whatever it is.
You know, one thing about the mugshot, when you're taking a mugshot, they have to remove your toupee or your wigs or whatever. So that's probably a good reason.
I would have loved to have seen it still.
Yeah, I'd love to see it.
I want to see the weight. I want to see that. I want to see all that stuff. Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Perfect health.
Do they have Diet Coke in prison? Because he'll be hanging out.
Yeah, I think they call it water.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
I could be wrong. Never been in prison, but I've heard.
It's pretty expensive to eat there. It's going to be a lot of cigarettes have to be sold and smuggled to get a Diet Coke. That's for darn sure.
All right. Well, have a good holiday, whatever you do, and enjoy yourself, but mostly spend time with your family. And say goodnight, and we'll take care. Bye.
Yeah, thank you.